So that was the president of the Ghana Journalists Association, Albert Kwabena Jomfo, making some demands on the Ghana police, the military, the presidency, and of course on journalists as well. We have reaction from this news conference. But first, let me take you to Parliament, where the leadership, that's the minority leader and the majority leader, are wrapping up debate on the media review of the budget. First is Alexander Afenyo-Markin, the minority leader.
System which became known as the Kufuor bus. Mr. Speaker, today we see the NDC 7 months in office. They have not come out with any productive social intervention program to give hope to the Ghanaian people. We therefore demand that they restore economic sanity through transparent foreign exchange auctions, expand the gold for oil reserve program, eliminate artificial exchange rate manipulation. We also demand of them, through their trade ministry, that they should reinstate the 1D1F program to create opportunity for businesses. The Agenda 111 hospitals, they have to continue to let these hospitals be completed. And again, instead of relying on galamsey activity as a way of growing the economy, they should restore agricultural transformation. Mr. Speaker, government must also strengthen diplomatic relations with strategic partners, restore impartial justice, pay contractors promptly, and create safe environment for business and investment. Mr. Speaker, I need to repeat here, illegal mining is going on and it's affecting our nation. The time has come for this government to rise to the occasion and walk the talk and protect our environment. Mr. Speaker, we, the minority, have a duty to set the record straight, and we will systematically dismantle the misleading claims and omissions in the minister's presentation. Using facts and historical context, we will demonstrate how many of the touted achievements in the last 6 months are either continuation of the policies laid down by the previous NPP administration or simply unearned credit claimed by the new government. We cannot allow false narrative to take root. Ghanaians deserve the truth about our fiscal health, inflation trends, currency stability, employment situation, social programs, debt management, and taxation policies. I need to remind them that upon assuming office, a directive was issued by the Chief of Staff, which directive led to thousands of jobs being lost. Many Ghanaian youth who had been employed were sacked, and an attempt to raise the matter on this House floor was resisted by the majority. Mr. Speaker, let us be clear. The story of Ghana from 2017 to 2024 was one of significant progress, and though tough decisions had to be taken amidst global and domestic challenges, we all saw that within half a year, this NDC, blaming the NPP for all economic woes, yet taking credit for the groundwork laid before. Mr. Speaker, we will address major claim in 10, exposing again the inconsistency, highlighting the true drivers of Ghana's recent economic development. Mr. Speaker, the mid-year review attempt to paint the former NPP government as fiscally reckless, citing, quote, balloon deficit, unquote, arrears of 6 billion in unpaid bills and 194 billion in contract commitment. Yet, yes, Ghana's deficit did spike in 2020, we admit, but context matters. Context matters. A global pandemic forced emergency expenditures and a banking sector cleanup to protect millions of depositors. These were extraordinary interventions, not wanton profligacy. If that money that today you claim is 60-40 had not been pursued, where would Ghana be? You mess up the economy, you mess up the banking sector. The billions that went to your financiers that you couldn't take steps to protect. Today, you claim that we mess the economy. The evidence is there, and you've exposed yourself. 60-40 is what you are called on the street of Accra. 60-40. 60-40 is your new name. 60-40. Give me 60, take 40. That is your union. In fact, Mr. Speaker, the NPP government reduced the deficit sharply upon taking office from 9.3% of GDP in 2016 down to about 6% in 2017 and kept it near 5% through 2019. The 2020 deficit of 17% of GDP was a one-off crisis response mirrored worldwide, which saved lives and jobs. It is disingenuous for the finance minister to label that life-saving effort as reckless spending. Let us also correct the record on Ghana's public debt and the claim of alleged insolvency. It is true that debt to GDP rose under NPP, no doubt, we admit, from 56% in 2016 to around 80% in 2022. But what drove these? We inherited significant legacy costs, such as the energy sector debt, from their take or pay. They didn't analyze the contract, they didn't scrutinize, and they signed a take or pay contract and left it for a new government to inherit. These power contracts that were signed under the previous administration hit the economy, and it was a drain on public purse. I challenge them to rise to rebut this. We also weathered the external shocks. COVID-19 borrowing to cushion the economy and steep Cedi depreciation as global investors pulled back, and they know that. Crucially, we put those borrowed funds into productive use, investing in infrastructure, education. They left their e-blocks, we completed them. Industry and social programs that benefit Ghanaians today. If the state's finances were strained, it was in the course of building for the future and cleaning up of the mess, not to wanton waste. Moreover, Mr. Speaker, we took responsibility for top reforms to address debt issue. We initiated the IMF-supported recovery program in 2022 and undertook a painful domestic debt exchange program. Mr. Speaker, they lambasted us on this. We paid a high price. We are in opposition. But today, that painful decision that came at a cost to us is what you are relying on to build the economy. Can you deny that? Mr. Speaker, the finance minister boasted that our debt to GDP ratio is at a 5-year low and that the public debt dropped by 113.7 billion in 6 months. Mr. Speaker, this is very misleading. The reality, however, is that no significant amount of debt has been paid off by this government. The statistical drop in debt ratio is largely due to the debt cancellation and restructuring achieved under the previous government, combined with the Cedi's appreciation effect. We asked the minister, exactly how much of Ghana's public debt has this government repaid to claim credit for the reduction? The answer is inconvenient, virtually none. Ghana's debt improved because the NPP did the heavy lifting, including a historic external debt operation that achieved $5 billion outright debt forgiveness and 4.7 billion in debt service savings. That is real debt reduction. The current administration merely stepped into an improving situation which was engineered by its predecessors. Mr. Speaker, to further buttress this point, let us recall that under NPP stewardship, Ghana never defaulted on external debt until 2022 crisis hit at the tail end of our term. We consistently met debt service obligations until an unprecedented combination of events forced a brief halt. Even then, NPP swiftly devised solution, the Energy Sector Levy Act, to systematically pay down energy liability, fiscal responsibility law, capping deficit at 5% of GDP to instill discipline, and the debt exchange to restore sustainability. These are actions of responsible government, and we are proud we took such decisions, not a reckless one. The media review blasts our administration for high debt, but conveniently omit that by end 2024, Ghana's debt to GDP had actually fallen to about 70.5%. This decline was a fruit of the painful haircut and fiscal adjustment we undertook to reset the economy. Again, we take responsibility. We say sorry to Ghanaians. We had to take a painful decision to implement this, but you are taking advantage of these painful decisions without giving credit to us. Who is hypocrite in this matter? You are the one found wanting, and indeed you are the political naysayers. You engage in double standard, and you are engaged in political hypocrisy. In short, the NPP cleaned up a grave situation, and now the new administration touts the cleaner floor as if it were their own accomplishment. What have you put in place? None. Mr. Speaker, let us address the narrative of wasteful spending under the NPP. The minister derided the former government's expenditure as waste, yet we recall vividly that in 2020, the same NDC was loud, calling for a greater expenditure on COVID-related activities to alleviate hardship. They said so in this very chamber. They talk of debt unsustainability today, but their solution so far has been to go back to the IMF and rely on new borrowing under stricter conditions. The truth is that the NPP invested in Ghana's future. We rolled out transformational policies like the free SHS, built roads, 13,000 kilometers of roads. Mr. Speaker, for emphasis, we introduced transformational policies to build the human resource capacity of our youth, such as the free SHS. Why are you quiet? We built 13,000 roads across the country and initiated the 1D1F to stimulate economic growth. Mr. Speaker, those investments are yielding dividends for our people. Meanwhile, the current government enjoys an IMF lifeline and fiscal space created by NPP's difficult reforms. They should be thanking the previous administration and not lambasting it. Mr. Speaker, the finance minister boasts that inflation has plunged from 23.8% in December 2024 to 13.7% by June 2025, implying some miraculous stabilization by the new administration. Mr. Speaker, Ghana's inflation story requires a longer lens. Yes, inflation is down from its peak, and that is good news for everyone. But we must remember why inflation spiked in the first place and how this trend was already reversing before January 2025. The reality check is that, Mr. Speaker, Ghana's inflation soared in 2022, peaked at over 50% year on year by December 2022, the highest in 22 years. This was not because of domestic fiscal indiscipline. It was largely imported pain, global supply shocks, COVID-induced supply chain disruptions, a surge in international oil prices, and the Russia-Ukraine war impact on food and fuel. Mr. Speaker, if this claim by us, and will not shift, if this claim by us is unacceptable to our colleagues who are now in government, then I ask, why did President John Dramani Mahama recently say that the situation in Middle East would have effect on the economy? Therefore, he is inviting the finance minister and the energy minister to sit together to review certain government policies. If international shocks have no effect, why did the president complain that the Middle East crisis is having an effect on the economy? What a shame. Mr. Speaker, we saw transport fares up. We saw the price of imported foods going up and simple prices surged worldwide. Ghana, being a small open economy, could not escape this wave. Mr. Speaker, the minister's own figure of 23.8% in December 2024 reflect this progress. To put this in perspective, pre-crisis inflation under NPP was lowest in decades. We ended 2019 at just 7.9% inflation, well within single digits. So while 13.7% in June 2025 is certainly much improved from the height of 2022, which we admit, it is not some unprecedented for a 4-year low, as the minister suggests. In fact, it is higher than what we achieved in normal times before the global crisis. And what has changed in 2025? The sharp disinflation is the first half of 2025. It's largely a continuation of the trend that NPP set in motion under the IMF program and our economic recovery policies. With stable fuel prices globally and the Cedi regaining some strength, prices of imported goods began to ease. The minister himself admits that the recent inflation drop, quote, is not by chance or sheer luck, unquote. Indeed, this was by design of policies that began under the Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo government. Mr. Speaker, it was NPP that negotiated the IMF support package, which restored investor confidence and unlocked funding. It was NPP that started the Gold for Oil program to moderate fuel prices, and it was NPP's fiscal adjustment that reined in excess liquidity. But to claim, so credit, or trumpet it as a vindication of 6-month work is premature. Ghana's inflation was already coming down, and the global condition provided a tailwind. There has been no bold new anti-inflation strategy from the current government beyond sticking with the IMF-guided path set earlier. Let us also recall that Ghana's longer inflation history for this House. Mr. Speaker, under the previous NDC government, that is 2012 to 2016, inflation was often run in mid-teens and even surpassed 17%. At one point, Ghana faced hyperinflationary pressures. Indeed, going back further, we had over 40% inflation in 2000 and had to redominate the Cedi in 2007 due to cumulative high inflation eroding the currency's value. In the year 2000, the government in power was your party. It was NDC, and you took us to a 40% inflation. Now, those storms are passing. Inflation is naturally receding. The NDC cannot credibly claim to have fixed the inflation in 6 months, when the truth is that in Ghana was already healing. We caution that the 13% inflation is still higher than our pre-crisis norm. There is more work ahead to bring it fully into single-digit target band. That work requires consistency, prudence, not celebratory laps after just half a year. I urge the finance minister, release monies to your ministers. Your ministers are idle. Your ministers are not working. Release their allocations to them. Pay their contractors. Mr. Speaker, the media review makes much of the Ghanaian Cedi performance, with the minister jubilantly declaring Cedi no apeke. He even claimed the recent Cedi appreciation has never happened in the history of the country. Mr. Speaker, let's analyze this carefully. It is true that in the first part of 2025, the Cedi strengthened against major currencies, an undoubtedly positive development, and we admit. But what are the underlying causes, and is this sustainable, I ask? First, context of 2022 must be highlighted. Yes, the Cedi was one of the world's worst performing currencies that year, depreciating steeply, at one point losing over half of its value. It's a matter of public record. But again, this does not occur in isolation. I dare argue. In 2022, virtually all emerging economies fell short sharply against a surging US dollar. Emerging economies and their currencies fell short of the US dollar. Several Federal Reserve aggressive rate hikes made the dollar strong in decades. As I've already mentioned, the Ukraine conflict drove oil and commodity import costs up, sucking foreign exchange out of countries like ours. Ghana also faced a momentary loss of investor confidence before the IMF deal, which hurt forex inflows. In short, the 2022 was a storm for the cedi, and I concede. But I dare argue that despite all of this, the NPP government stabilized the cedi in 2023. After reaching its weakest point in late 2022, the cedi slide was arrested and partially reversed. The key was restoring confidence, securing the IMF agreement in 2023, commencing the debt restructuring, which signaled to markets that Ghana was addressing its debt and innovative policies like the gold for oil, where we battered gold for oil for fuel to reduce forex demand. By end 2024, the cedi depreciation has slowed dramatically. It was down only by 19% year on year against the dollar, a marked improvement from the free for all earlier. So when the new government took over the reins of affairs in January 2025, they inherited a stabilizing currency, not a perpetually dwindling one. Mr. Speaker, the cedi cedi's appreciation in 2025. Indeed, from January through to June, the cedi strengthened significantly, with the minister tout as unprecedented. We do welcome a stronger cedi. We on this side welcome a stronger cedi. It eases the burden on import costs and brings some price relief to Ghanaians. However, claiming this as a proof of some unique NDC prowess is misleading. Several factors have contributed to the cedi's rise, and they are not purely the result of fresh political journeys. A major factor is renewed investor confidence and inflows on the back of the IMF program and improved fiscal outlook, a trajectory set in motion last year. Another factor is Ghana's record high gold exports and remittances in late 2024. Mr. Speaker, let me remind the NDC, whereas they have denied the successes of NPP in laying the foundation, they have quietly indicated that in their report to the IMF. That is why recently the IMF exposed you, that you have acknowledged that the stability you find today is as a result of the foundation laid by the Akufo-Addo government. Why did you refuse to acknowledge it in the dispatch box, but wrote a letter to the IMF to admit this? Mr. Speaker, these inflows from the IMF shored up our reserves. By end 2024, Ghana's gross international reserves stood at $8.9 billion, a healthy buffer, well ahead of IMF targets. The minister in mid-year review proudly announces that reserves have further risen to $11.212 billion by June 2025. What he failed to clarify was that the $8.9 billion of that was inherited from the previous administration's efforts. The new addition in the first half of 2025 was just about $2.2 billion. Significant, yes, but not miraculous, given favorable trade winds and carryover programs. Crucially, Mr. Speaker, the Bank of Ghana's heavy intervention in the forex market has played an unsustainable role in propping up the cedi. And this the IMF has pointed out. Yet you are quiet. Despite earlier denial, it took the IMF to reveal that the first quarter of 2025 alone, the BOG injected $1.4 billion of reserves into the market to support the cedi. Have you told Ghanaians this? Was this included in your media report? This kind of artificial support, effectively using scarce reserves to boost the cedi, can only be a short-term strategy. Indeed, the IMF has cautioned our government about the sustainability of this approach, urging that we reduce BOG's footprint and allow greater exchange rate flexibility going forward. On the ground, many importers and businesses will tell you a sobering truth. While the official interbank rate has shown a strong Cedi, dollars have become scarce in the open market. A wide arbitrage has emerged. The Cedi appears stronger on paper, but it is difficult for businesses to actually obtain forex at those rates. As one of my colleagues, Mr. Speaker, aptly put it, Cedi no apeke, but Abochi has a dollar. The point is that the real economic strength comes from a currency's purchasing power, not just the exchange rate on a given day. This government must hear this. Mr. Speaker, in contrast, consider the currency stability under the NPP's first step. That's 2017 to 2019. During the period, the Cedi's annual depreciation averaged around 8 to 10%. A remarkably stable performance compared to the 18 to 30% annual slides seen in the previous NDC era of 2012 to 2016. There were even stretches where the Cedi was one of Africa's more stable currencies under Akufo-Addo's administration. We achieved this through disciplined fiscal management and innovative schemes like forex auctions and improved exports. It was only when external crisis hit that the Cedi wobbled, and when they did, NPP was innovative. Mr. Speaker, now let me turn to their so-called 24-hour economy. They claim that they have introduced something they call 24-hour economy. They've touted it as a transformational plan to run Ghana's economy around the clock, spanning 8 pillars from Grow 24 to Connect 24. On paper, it promises 1.7 million jobs in 4 years and a productivity reboot. However, Mr. Speaker, this rhetoric of a nation that Ghana never sleeps collides with Ghana's own on-ground realities. Few African cities truly operate 24/7, and Accra is nowhere near a New York or Dubai. What we expect is for the government to make investment in the private sector, but there are no such signs. All they know is to focus in promoting Galamsey. Tripling daily operating hours in key sectors sounds impressive, but visibility is questionable. Ghana's economy cannot be willed into 24-hour cycle by slogan. It requires concrete capacity that currently seems lacking. There is a lack that this grand vision remains largely rhetorical, with little change on the factory floor or the farm gate beyond normal business hours. A glaring weakness of this 24-hour economy program is its heavy reliance on financing that may never fully materialize. The initiative cost is pegged at around $4 billion, yet government is only committing $300 to $400 million as seed capital. The rest is expected from the private sector, a lofty assumption in Ghana's current climate. But I dare ask, what are the incentives for the private sector? A situation where instead of creating jobs, you are sacking our youth from having their jobs. Then you say you are creating jobs. What foundation are you mounting this vision on? Mr. Speaker, this country must not be subjected to PR gimmicks and political rhetorics. We want action, and the NDC must know that the clock is ticking. We do not have time. Your 4 years, almost 7 months gone. Time is not on your side. Do something before the people boot you out. Mr. Speaker, even if money is found, implementation bottlenecks abound. A 24-hour economy needs reliable 24-hour power supply. Do we have a reliable power supply? Since you came, doomsday is what we see. The minority has suggested to this government that pursue reforms at ECG. Reforms were started. Pursue, and we will support you. What you are instead doing is coming out with new levies, because that is a convenient way. We want to tell you that if you are serious about this 24-hour economy, your duty is to undertake reforms and focus on agriculture. What you are doing will take you nowhere. You cannot continue to impose levies. At ECG, you started with 14% and then ended with another 2.7%. Then you came with another doomsday levy, all in an attempt to resolve the crisis. Yet, the key thing to pursue, which is a reform, you have abandoned it. Are you serious, or you are still in rhetoric? Mr. Speaker, now they claim a certain big push, and they have selected certain roads that they claim that these roads will be constructed. Mr. Speaker, we wish them well. However uneven we found these to be, at least we want to give you the chance. Let's see how you roll them out in the next 6 months. Mr. Speaker, we call on the NDC to acknowledge the investment that were made in the educational sector. Happily, Dr. Educhum is in this chamber. The investment made by he and Matthew Opoku Prempe as sector ministers. Mr. Speaker, in the education ministry, not only did we roll out the free SHS, we also, Mr. Speaker, came up with a TVET, make sure that the TVET was free, and also introduce a STEM program. Mr. Speaker, you may have to. Mr. Speaker, today.
Honourable member just address the chair.
Very well. Mr. Speaker, to date, over 3.1 million Ghanaian students have benefited from the free SHS. They've gained access to education, a thing that many Ghanaian youth never dreamed of. Mr. Speaker, the NPP must be commended. Mr. Speaker, we would want to conclude by urging the NDC. You have an opportunity to govern. Focus on governance. Create a Ghana that is an opportunity for all. Stop hounding the Chief Justice. Stop politicizing the judiciary. Focus on a Ghana that will be attractive for all. Focus on a Ghana that all of us will be proud to be citizens of. Do not think that the power you have will last forever. The power you have is left with 3.5 years. Mr. Speaker, we have had our chance. We've made our mistakes. We have come out, we've chalked successes. And we admit that we couldn't have been perfect. But the expectation is that you who said you could do it better can do it better for all to see. Mr. Speaker, that said, and without more, I would want to thank you for the opportunity granted me. And may God bless our homeland, Ghana. Thank you.